Hey everybody, it's me, Durango, and I wanted to share some special footage I recovered that I thought you might like. Sit back and relax as we take a journey back in time and see what Rust used to look like in 2016. I wanted to start by showing some footage of the incredible sunsets that were of this era. As you can see, I'm climbing this very tall mountain, and it's going to give me a perfect view of the horizon. And trust me, you'll want to see this for yourself. This is very nostalgic for me. Every time I see this footage, 1,000 memories come back to my mind that I wish I could live again. And please understand that I love Rust in 2023. I think it's a beautiful game. It's my favorite game. I just really enjoy going back and seeing memories from this time, as this was my favorite time in Rust, and I will always cherish these memories. So the next few clips are just another perspective of sunsets at a different time during the day. You'll just see me farming and gathering, but it's still beautiful. Anybody who played Rust back in this time will remember that the snow biome was actually pretty small. They eventually made it bigger to match the desert and the tundra, and only a few people could live in the snow. There just wasn't a lot of it back then. In the next few clips, you're actually going to see that I'm playing Rust at nighttime. And believe it or not, there was a time where you can actually see at night. This was probably one of the more controversial updates that the game ever received. As I'm playing, I can see very far into the distance. Now watch very closely this next clip. You can actually see a player on a rock use a bolty and then start running. Right there. Incredible. And in the same shot, you can see a player-owned quarry running as well. And in this next clip, here I am, going on some kind of adventure at night, roaming the land, probably looking for loot. Decayed base, going to a monument, collecting blueprints. As night came to an end, the sunrise started. And as much as I loved the sunsets in the game, I loved the sunrises as well. Here I am, roaming around, looking for blueprints, looking for items, just farming. Not straying too far from the base. Trying to play it safe. I was solo after all. This is just a shot of the beautiful mountainside that I lived on. How many of you would play this version of Rust? Who would build here? I know I would. I loved building in this area. The next couple of clips are just me farming. The nodes back then were a little different than they are now. This is a sulfur node. I think the next node is a stone, and then there's also a metal node. It was actually a little painful farming these back in the day before the ice picks were updated and before jackhammers. It's just me farming a tree. The sounds were different. And I can even hear Heli in the background, which sounds different back then too. This next clip might seem random, but there was a time where furnaces can actually clip through the wall, and I think what I was doing here is damaging the furnace so I know which furnace was the one sticking out of the wall so nobody could come and loot it. And I think at this time you couldn't pick up furnaces with the hammer. Also, this base is absolutely terrible. I'm not sure what this base design is, but just seeing this brings me pain. Wow, look at my box placement on the shelves. The sounds were a little bit different. This is the blueprint system before workbenches, so you could craft wherever as long as you had the blueprint. And what you would do is you would just take blueprint fragments similar to scrap to a research table and you could research items. At one time in the main screen there used to be Rust statistics, and I just thought this was cool. I died 165 times, but at least I killed 47 people. This is what beds used to look like before they were updated. There was a time where you could actually research an item without having all of the blueprint fragments needed, and I wish we had this in the game now. It's called Fragment Boost. And you could put a partial amount of fragments and there was a percentage or small chance you could learn it without needing all of the fragments, with a chance of losing the item. So here I put in the rocket with no fragments and I lose it. This next clip is actually really interesting. So I seem to be pursuing a couple of players and I don't know what I was thinking, but this has to be the worst bow fight in Rust history. I didn't even finish using the bandage. I didn't even finish using the med stick. I think I've just accepted my fate and I lay down here. And there you can hear the old scream. That is awful. So moving on, this is footage from September of 2016. And the most noticeable changes is that the graphics have been updated, and this is on the XP system, which was a major change for the game. So many years ago, I was an admin on a couple of servers, and I would get hack reports, and I would end up having to observe players, watch them. So a lot of the footage that you're going to be seeing is me just following players. Sometimes I would just get on the server and just kind of watch people and just kind of see what the Rust community was up to. Sometimes when they were building, sometimes when they were raiding, and it was always cool just to get that footage. I thought this clip was interesting right here because you can actually see the old hazmat suit. How many of you remember when the hazmat suit used to look like this, and that there were multiple pieces that you had to get to wear the whole set? I will say the terrain was much differently at this time. You can just see how beautiful it was. Graphics completely different than the earlier clips. You can see the roadside armor of this player. It's different than the roadside armor that you see today. You can see the model for the airdrop is different. One thing that has not changed is that players are just as ruthless now as they were back many years ago, and they will protect what is theirs. Now here's some footage of some PvP, some players defending their base against some potential door campers and raiders. It can be a little hard to follow player from player because back in 2016 there weren't very many skins. There were a few hoodie skins, maybe a face mask skin here or there, just not very much. So everybody basically looked about the same. You can see this team took down Heli, and now they're having to push out from their base to try to get the loot. And looks like there is another player trying to counter and to take it from them. Even in 2023, taking down Heli is still a major part of the game. These players are giving it everything just to get that loot back into the base. Just imagine yourself as one of these players just fighting to the death, the adrenaline rushing through their veins. Seeing these players fight bring back a lot of memories because there was a time when I would leave my base and I would get so scared and so shaky when I would start fighting. How many of you watching get that way now when you play Rust? Here's the old mining outpost before it's updated. And these are just different shots of the terrain. Does anybody remember when the graphics looked like this? I can't remember how long they were like this, maybe for a couple of years before they were updated again. Here's a shot of the snow biome, and it does look different. You can see a tall mountain in the background. And here is Dome. It does look pretty similar to what we have today, but there have been quite a few changes. Here's the old satellites. A lot different than what we have today. Thank you everybody who made it this far. I will be posting a new video here soon with some footage that I'm excited to share with everybody. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. Comment down below your thoughts on this video. What are some things I can improve on? Also, do you have any stories you can share with me about Old Rust? I would love to hear it. Until next time, my friends, this is Durango signing off.